Namaskar. Welcome to DD Assam program on the impact of COVID-19 on the tourism sector. The tourism sector has been receiving immense setback due to the pandemic, and it has been almost 1.5 years that people engaged in the tourism sector have been left in the dark. It's time to look for means and ways for revival and survival and re-emerge, coming prepared with the new normal in tourism sector. To discuss these crucial issues, I have two distinguished guests with me today. Mr. Shankar Subhra Devbarman, Regional Director, India Tourism Northeast. Welcome. And Mr. Nirmalya Choudhury, Executive Committee Member, Tour Operators Association of Assam, and also the Chapter Chairman of Indian Association of Tour Operators Northeast Chapter. Welcome. Mr. Devbarman, how has the tourism sector been affected due to the pandemic?
See, it is known to all that the severity, the effect of the pandemic, it is a global pandemic, and at these junctures, when the entire world become a global village, if anything happens in the other part of the country, other part of the world, it also affect the country. And our country also very badly damaged and affected due to the COVID-19. So now the strategy is being made by the government how to overcome the crisis or how to tide the crisis.
Right. Mr. Choudhury, the tour operators, hoteliers, transporters, service providers, the lives and the livelihoods of everyone has been tremendously interrupted. What would you like to say on this?
Honestly, it's a cliche to say this, that the tourism industry in any adverse situation is the first industry to get affected and the last one to recover. We all know from our experience that tourism industry and stakeholders in every facet of the industry, as mentioned by you, has been very severely affected. Millions of people have lost their jobs, and the industry is going through the darkest phase. We are hoping that a new light is at the end of it, and we will be able to recover from this sooner rather than later. It has been a tremendously demoralizing last few months that we have all gone through.
COVID may be here to stay now, and can the tourism and hospitality sector also survive with COVID?
This is to be.
Yes.
Of course, we have to live with these kind of things, COVID-19, so-called COVID-19. But there is a clear-cut suggestions and guidance also given by the government of India regarding SOP and then COVID protocol, etc. Then all of you will have to take the double vaccinations. Then afterwards the things can be revived once again full-fledgedly. What is the problem? I don't see any problems. Only the thing is that the government has laid down. And not only that, as all of you know, the Ministry of Finance also has announced some package for the recovery of the industries. So all these things can be very fulfilling in future, and it may help in a big way to recover the industry.
Right. Mr. Choudhury, reviving tourism in the region in Northeast India, we will also have to look into developing the trust in the tourists so that we can encourage them to come and visit Northeast India as a tourist destination. How do you think this can be planned out?
You see, tour operators of the industry as well as other stakeholders are already keeping our clients in the loop about what's happening, giving them the clear picture, the new SOPs that is being introduced within our region by the various states. So information flow is very crucial, and we are diligently doing this so that people are up to date, because a lot of people are looking at our Northeast region as for their next holiday destination, and they want to be updated about how we are going to go about it. Here, as private stakeholders of the industry, we can only do so much. What we do need is that from the Ministry of Tourism and also from the state tourism authorities to help us by bringing together all the tourism bodies together and coming up with specific plans to revive and restart tourism as early as possible, as soon as it is feasible. I know there are a lot of other things, for example, vaccination, etc., has to come into play so that it can be started. But with more and more vaccines available, the scarcity is no longer there. New vaccines are being introduced. I think it can be achieved, and we can restart tourism in our region sooner rather than later. I am hoping in the next month or maybe 1.5 months.
We are really hopeful. Mr. Devbarman, what would your comment be on this?
Absolutely. I'm happy that Nirmal, who is also a part of the important stakeholders in the regions, has talked so optimistically, because anybody can talk pessimistically, but right now at this crucial phase of our life, we need a kind of optimistic attitude and views towards our life and towards everything, in a professional, including professional front also. And Nirmal rightly pointed out that post-COVID-19 scenario, Northeast will witness certainly a surge in the tourism sector, because it has its own reason. In the previous my interview also, I have mentioned about these things. People are stressed, they are tensed, because the movement has become restricted, and life become quite limited. Things are really very uncertain. So at this juncture, instead of enjoying the popular tourist destinations, which are actually defined as a popular tourist destinations, people will go to those kind of places where they can actually get relief of the tensions, and they can stressed out. Now, what will be the ideal destination for them? Nature. And Northeast tourism products are all 99.9% are all nature-based tourism products.
The hidden
So
paradise.
it's really, we do call as a paradise unexplored.
Absolutely.
Now people will come and they will try to explore, and they will try to stress out, and they will try to get rid of the tensions in the lap of the nature.
Yes. Well, all verticals of tourism needs to be connected. Mr. Choudhury, you are part of many prominent associations in the region. How would you say, what role does the association can play in connecting these verticals?
See, thought leaders and experts in all the verticals, as well as all the different associations, whether it's the tour operators associations, state level, national level, as well as the hoteliers and restaurants association, we are all in synergy. We are all prepared. Last winter, when we were able to serve our customers, we were doing this following all the laid down norms of different SOPs, and we are absolutely prepared. As soon as we are allowed to get back into the business in the full force, we will be doing this. And obviously this is not going to be possible without proper synergy between all the stakeholders, and the industry associations are already working towards this to achieve complete synergy, complete cooperation between all verticals.
Right, and there are also some sections of the people who have lost their jobs. Mr. Choudhury, how do you think we can encourage them, and what can we do as stakeholders?
As part of very prominent association of Assam and a national association as well, I propose that everybody knows that we have lost a huge number of our workforce. People who have built this tourism industry brick by brick, and we have to ensure by any means to bring them back into the industry. Going forward, all the new SOPs, the new ways of doing things, the new systems that will be in place can only be achieved with help from the experienced hands who have spent their life building this industry.
Absolutely.
We have to recognize their past efforts and we have to make sure that they are at the forefront, and we have to recognize their efforts and honor them and bring them back by any means necessary, and we will be doing it collectively.
That is very, very important, to get back our workforce who has given
Very
so
heartening
much.
to listen to these kind of things.
Yes.
From a, important student stakeholder.
Yes, without jobs, it's a huge thing. Sir, Mr. Devbarman, tourism post-COVID has to be developed in a very responsible manner, with special consideration to the host community and nature. How do you think we can be responsible?
See, Shreya, this is nothing new. You know, I mean, a number of times, rather say umpteen times, we have been telling that wherever you are going and whatever industry you want to do, you do, especially tourism industries, which is very fragile, you know. You need to do it in a responsible manner, you know. And because as you know that recently something happened in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, you know, when government eased out beat the COVID protocol, people started thronging over there, you know, without the proper SOP, I mean disobeying the COVID protocol, etc. This kind of things actually rather once again will damage the already damaged that industry, you
We
know.
cannot let that
It will rather further exacerbate the problems, you know. So these kind of things should not be there. So as I told in the course of my conversation earlier, then you need to obey the COVID protocol and follow the SOP and double vaccination, etc. All these things are must.
Absolutely. Mr. Choudhury, so what we see is that the onus is basically on the stakeholders for responsible tourism. So what would you like to comment on this?
See, we have to, in the post-pandemic world, or when we start doing business again, we are already collectively discussing amongst ourselves how we are going to do business next. So we feel that, you know, sir has already said our recent experience of you know, tourism rush and over tourism in certain
Especially
destinations in the
Simla
north.
and
Yes.
So we most definitely do not want that happening here.
There's a
we
term
are,
coined as revenge tourism.
yes, a very negative term actually. We wouldn't want that
Absolutely.
here. You know, the responsible tourism and slow tourism is what particularly suits our region. Especially a ecologically fragile region, a region unlike any other in the country. We should stop measuring success of tourism by looking at just the number of visitors that visits our region. That's entirely wrong, I feel.
absolutely, absolutely.
And you know, what we need to look at it is that what is the experience and feedback that the clients give us, and also we must look at curating new programs, new experiences, so that clients who come, visitors who come to our region, spends longer duration at our places, instead of just touching by places, sightseeing and passing through places. If we can curate programs at various places that they go to, and they, instead of spending one night at a place or 2 nights, if we can extend it to 3 nights or 4 nights, by giving them newer experiences involving the local communities. You know, for example, I would like to say a huge number of people visit Kaziranga, but when they are in Kaziranga, they are coming across the tour operators, the guides, the local drivers, the jeep safari guides and drivers, and shop owners. Beyond that, the interaction with the local communities living there is very minimal. We need to change that. We need to make sure that people go to the villages, interact with the local children, interact with the local ladies, and learn about their lifestyles. What do they cook? How do they cook?
Experiential tourism
Yes,
can be the new mantra.
this is what Northeast India is particularly suited for, and this is what will make us even more famous than we are right now.
I would like
Yes.
to just, I'm very curious to know one thing, especially from Nirmal there. And the question is that, Nirmal, I'm very hopeful and quite optimistic that post-COVID the entire Northeast will witness a huge surge in the tourism sector. Okay. Now, as we have been keep on saying since a time immemorial, you know, what I want to say is that as far as our tourism is concerned, this is very fragile because our tourism is based on ecology. So we need the development, we need a tourist, but at the same time, whether a particular guideline should be in order in the place, so that the number of tourists, as you rightly pointed out, we don't require the number of tourists, we need the quality, not quantity. And how to maintain it? As we witnessed in certain internationally famous African safari park, over there are actually restricted numbers. You know.
Yes.
If it exceed 100 more tourists, then for that day, that particular day, they stop. Only 100 people are allowed to go there.
That is a
not more than.
significant point that can
That's
be
what
looked
I'm
at.
saying. You know.
See, this can only be achieved when governments and all the tourism bodies comes together under an umbrella where they interact with the local tourism stakeholders and discuss. At any cost, we must avoid a future where over-tourism becomes a reality in Northeast. If we acknowledge that this is a possibility, then we should start working towards not having that right now. And this will start bearing fruit over a period of time. This cannot be done in one day by one law that is put in that only so many people can go. Slowly we have to start putting out programs, itineraries, experiences together, whether, as I said, people should come, stay longer, experience our place, and slowly when they start going back and start sharing their experiences of interactions with host communities and the wonderful experiences they had, more and more people will naturally get inclined to that kind of tourism. It is a process, but that process needs to be started right away.
Right.
This
Absolutely.
reset in the tourism has given us this opportunity to look at things with new eyes, and we should do that collectively. Government agencies as well as tourism stakeholders should be brought together under one platform where we can discuss and collectively decide how we want to go forward to achieve that.
Yes, that actually brings this to my next question, that nowadays government and tourism departments and the stakeholders are more closer and more connected. So, what role do you think the government should play as a stakeholder? What do you think the role a government should play here,
See,
or the tourism department should
in
play
the
here?
immediate future, I see that a complete synergy should be tried for by the tourism bodies of the region collectively and under Sir's leadership probably, and not only just tourism. We should bring aboard departments like transport, departments like health, so that collectively we put out very well thought out information campaigns to attract tourists, because we have to create positivity. Tourism only flourishes in positive environments, and positivity increases when tourism happens. So we have to create the right environment, and I'm sure it will start bearing fruit. At the same time, we have to remain, maintain, at least in the short term, total alertness to address and deal with any developing situation very quickly and decisively. An empowered tourism department is the answer, where they work with the stakeholders very, very closely. That is the only way to achieve this.
This is very, very
See,
important.
I want to tell, being a government officer, I mean, government cannot do everything on its part. A kind of synergy is required, a kind of uniformity is required, and for that part, a kind of unified commanding system is there. Government's role will be limited. It's supposed to be the only monitoring agency. Local stakeholders need to be more vigilant, and they need to be more proactive, and they can come out with some good ideas and relevant suggestions. which can actually then modified by the government for making the guidelines, etc.
So a lot of initiatives will have to be taken to promote Northeast, because we want tourists also for revival strategies. And Mr. Devbarman, what plans are being specifically taken up by India Tourism?
See, I mean, these questions need to be more clarifications, whether it is a post-COVID-19 or from the very beginnings before the COVID-19 onslaught started taking place. Which one?
Basically, we are already looking at tourists who are going on with double vaccinations now. So can we look at a scenario there where double vaccinated tourists can be to some extent welcome to the region, and to some extent tourism can be revived?
Already we have been keep on saying that I mean, we need the tourism, but in a responsible manner. I mean, the procedures and the things which are now actually being followed by the government very strictly, local state governments, will be gradually eased out. And Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, also taking up the matters with the local state government, so that the vaccinated people can actually move and they can actually enjoy the tourism over there.
Right.
So that kind of things and discussions are going with the state government.
And so this is the time for planning for the future, promoting the destination. India Tourism, I'm sure, has been doing a lot of webinars recently, and they've been trying to promote the region.
See, ultimately, as already we discussed, I mean, we are quite optimistic. There will be huge surge of tourism sector in Northeast, because it has the products to cater to the need of the post-COVID-19 scenario. Now, only the things that actually, as Nirmal also actually expressed the concern, how to actually maintain the balance. Maintaining the balance will be the next era, very, very challenging for all of us, because keeping in mind about the fragile ecosystems of these regions, and the list is endless in our regions. We are having so many specific and unique kind of things which are not available other part of the country, or certain things are not even nowhere in the world.
Right.
So those kind of things, heritage, wildlife, nature, need to be properly protected. We should be very, very sensitive about all these things.
Right.
I
Mr.
think-
Choudhury, yes. Basically, now this is again the time of planning. So the stakeholders, government, how would you like to go ahead with planning for promotions and planning for Northeast?
Absolutely. Going forward from where Sir finished, our region is like no other in the country. While we must learn about the best initiatives that is being taken elsewhere in the country or even abroad, we must consider developing our own unique ways to promote our Northeast region. I feel our region should be positioned as an aspirational, experiential, unique destination. People should aspire to come here, and experience, live, and feel the place.
It's once in a lifetime experience.
Yes, and that can be achieved. Our tour operators, our service providers, our accommodation facilities in the Northeast are also unique, and they are doing wonderful job. And this, again, it has to all come together.
Yes, yes.
If we can achieve that, and if we create a campaign that Northeast is unlike anything that you have experienced
That's
before.
wonderful. It has been such a nice discussing with our distinguished guests, and we wanted to have more time with you to have more issues that could have come up. But we are short of time. We have to wrap up now. And thank you to our viewers for being here today and coming to listen to the impacts of tourism sector because of the pandemic. And we hope that the sector basically revives, stands up on the feet, and we look for a glorious time for Northeast tourism. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.